Welcome in to BKL Nightly. I am your host for this Wednesday evening or whenever you're watching this. I'm Rachel Liebert. Nice to have you here on the first day of October. Happy October to everyone. Happy MLB postseason to everyone who celebrates. But today we are not here to talk about baseball as much as I would love to talk about the Guardians win today. We are here to talk about the Bills in this Week 5 matchup they've got this weekend against the Patriots in AFC East. Sunday night showdown. So the Patriots enter with a 2-2 record. The Bills, of course, are undefeated 4-0. And we got some injury updates today, some good news, but we'll start with some less of good news today. Sean McDermott did say that none of the guys on injured reserve will be, the practice windows will not be opening for any of them. That obviously includes Max Hairston. With it being Week 5, the possibility of him coming back or being activated or taken off the injured reserve list was possible, but today Sean McDermott said that will not be happening as of now. We do have some good news, so that is kind of, okay news, kind of as to be expected. We haven't seen super great progress from Max Hairston. We did see him practicing a little bit last week, still with the brace on his knee, but we do have some good news to get into, so let's do that and get right into it. Ed Oliver was back at practice. He has missed several weeks with an ankle injury after being stepped on the week following the Ravens game. So he obviously played in that Week 1 game, had a great game, was kind of the star on defense, and then he's been out since then. So he did return to practice today, was limited, but it is good news because he is back on the field, and with this defense that we've seen struggle a little bit up front these last few weeks, Ed Oliver will definitely be a guy that can make his return and make an immediate impact. Speaking of defensive guys, we got Matt Milano also out there today. As you can see, he was limited as well. He's been dealing with a pectoral injury, but he was in limited capacity. It kind of looks like they might be trending upward to play this weekend. We don't have any official word, of course, on that quite yet. We will keep you in the loop. But yeah, two defensive guys that have been, key contributors through the last few years. Matt Milano's been a little bit quieter, but we'll see if he makes his return, and that obviously is a positive for him. And then Spencer Brown, as you can see right there, was back on the field today. He missed Sunday's game with a calf injury, so he is limited as well today. But all of these guys looking like they're trending in the right direction to potentially play in this Sunday night matchup. We've got a few more injuries to talk about now, just two on this rest of this injury report. Not a great one, though. Jackson Haas, he's been having a really great start to his rookie year, and he was limited today with an ankle injury. We are not really sure of the specifics of that ankle injury, but he was limited. I guess it is a good sign, though. He did not practice, so, always good things when they can at least be limited out there, regardless of, this injury isn't a great thing to hear, especially when he's kind of commanding this tight end room the last few weeks. And then linebacker Jorian Williams did not practice. You get one linebacker back in Matt Milano. And then another one goes down. So not great things to see, but if there is any time where you have another linebacker injury, I guess now would be the time for it to happen, as Matt Milano is continuing to get a little bit healthier. All right, so the Bills, as I said, are hosting the 2-2 Patriots this weekend. Mike Vrabel is the head coach of the Patriots. He obviously is a Patriot legend, won 3 Super Bowls with them as a player. And then last year he's actually with the Cleveland Browns, just in like a coaching role. And then the 6 years before that, he was the head coach with the Titans. So he's made his return back to the Patriots, kind of at the helm of this program and with this organization. And the Bills have taken notice. They've seen some things that it seems like this team has improved. I mean, we saw last year in Week 18, the Patriots kind of played a little bit of a close game against the Bills. I was there. It was freezing. That was the worst weather-wise game to be at, but the Patriots did play them a little bit close, and the Bills have been taking notice. And defensively, the Patriots might be a little bit of a challenge for this offensive line. So Thad Brown was in Orchard Park today, caught up with them. And despite this, a lot of the same players coming back, it is a little bit of a different scheme. So it might present a little bit of a challenge this weekend.
Same guys, but they're rotating in a different way. Barmore's there, Landry's there, who I played against. So just be familiar with those guys and the new stuff they're doing. I know Vrabel's obviously back in there. And when he was in Tennessee, whenever we played the Titans, it was always like a meat grinder of a clash of a game, and that's just the way he runs his program. So look forward to it.
And they show you, they're like, all right, this is what we're standing our ground here, and they do it the right way, and they play it strong. And like the old Patriots way, they're constantly changing fronts, moving guys late, so you're trying to keep you on your toes. Like me and Josh are always constant communication. Here, they're already set in their line and like, hey, you got to come beat us.
Mike's done a great job everywhere he's been, and you know, it's funny going back over the years coaching against him as he was playing in the Super Bowl in 2004. So just, you know, it's been interesting to watch his career, and certainly off to a great start there now in terms of getting that thing the way he wants to get it.
So obviously a lot of praise for what Vrabel has done career-wise, coaching-wise. He is definitely one of the greats, and it seems like it's been working so far with this Patriots team, who hasn't had a bad start to the season. They're 2-2. They took a really commanding win over Carolina last week, and then they beat the Dolphins, I believe, week 2. So yeah, it should be an interesting AFC East matchup. This normally isn't one in recent years that we've seen, you know, could have some challenges for the Bills. Normally the Patriots are an easy win. We're moving on. We're moving forward. But there are some things that, although the Bills are highly favored, there are some things this weekend that the Patriots might get after. And their offense, Drake May looks to be doing pretty well. Had 200-plus passing yards last week. So we'll see if they keep that rolling into this Sunday. All right, so this game on Sunday is the whiteout game at Highmark Stadium. With the cold front rivalry jerseys that the Bills revealed, I believe, last month. And so they're now wearing them. It is going to be like 80 degrees, I think, though, on Sunday during the day. So these cold front jerseys might have been a little bit better fitting in the snow, but can't really plan for the snow. So we'll see how that goes. But while this is going to bring a lot of fans wearing white, decked out in their Bills gear, it is also going to bring a reunion. There's a familiar face coming back to Highmark Stadium, one that made a return last year. Had a little viral moment out of that. We'll talk about it after this. But Thad Brown talked to some players today about this mystery guy who's going to be returning to Highmark Stadium this Sunday.
Stephon Diggs probably should not be making his return to Orchard Park this weekend, not after tearing an ACL late last October. But not only did Diggs get healthy enough in time for Week 1, he put up 100 yards receiving last week for the first time in 25 games. The Bills are impressed, even if Josh Allen played down a bit this weekend's reunion.
We played him last year, so I don't think it's anything super crazy, but obviously being back in Buffalo, who knows if the emotions are going to be heightened for him or for the fans or whatever it is, but we're just going to go out there and try to perform the best we can.
Just knowing who he is, knowing the competitor that he is, he's going to be amped up, excited. You know, he probably going to want the ball. He going to want to, you know, do stealth things, you know, the special catches, the yak after the play. Like, we'll expect that out of him.
Not surprised, but very impressed in terms of how he looks. He looks great. Very few can come off of an injury like that from a timing standpoint, especially that first year, and look the way he looks. So, but I'm not surprised. He's a heck of an athlete, and he works extremely hard.
Steps bring it, man. He brings that fire. So, you know, with him coming back here, you know, it's going to be a little extra. So it's just going to be on us as a team to match that, because we know the intensity he brings, because we've been around it for 4 or 5 years when he was here.
Diggs spoke to media in Foxborough on Wednesday, calling Bills Mafia a great fan base, and he was also pretty complimentary of the team, saying, quote, "They're always very good, a well-coached team, and things haven't changed since I left."
Now you can see that clip right there, that viral moment I was talking about, if you are watching this. The Stephon Diggs side eye moment, it wasn't really a side eye. I think he was just looking at Josh Allen, but I mean, it was the kind of the viral moment. So it'll be interesting to see how they interact this year. I mean, they've spoken so highly of each other over the years that I don't think there's any bad blood or anything there, but yeah, it should be fun to see that reunion happen. All right, it is now time for our roundtable segment. Each week, Thad Brown, Carl Jones, and Josh Reed over at Orchard Park after the Bills Wednesday practice, kind of debrief what's going on, talk about this weekend's game. And so, yeah, let them take it away from here.
Time now for the BKL Nightly Roundtable, joined as always by Carl Jones, Josh Reed. Bills and Patriots. For a long time, this was the game on the schedule. It might be the game on the schedule again in the semi-near future because, look, you look at the division, it's still Buffalo in charge and everybody else trying to chase. But, guys, is the Patriots maybe the team that has the best look long-term or maybe even semi-long-term to being a threat?
Yes, because I think it starts with the quarterback. And I think they have that piece of the puzzle in place. Drake May, you look what he did his rookie year, thought it was pretty good. Going into year 2, I feel like he's built on that. You look at his stats, in fact, Dad, you and I, before we started taping, we're looking over Drake May's stats in the first month of the season. they're nearly identical to what Josh Allen has done.
Scary identical.
Right?
Yeah.
Both 7 touchdown passes. Drake's thrown 2 picks. Josh just 1. But, you know, you look at the quarterback rating's almost the same. The yardage is almost the same. I think they got the quarterback in place. I think they've got a head coach now who can kind of build the culture that they need to turn it around. But to answer your question, I do feel like the Patriots are that team. Maybe it's not this year or next year, but they're the team that's closest in the rearview mirror to the Bills.
They have the foundational pieces in place. They have the quarterback, the head coach. They actually spent the high draft pick, not on a receiver. It was on an offensive lineman. They wanted to build the trenches and build a good team the long term the right way. So may not be this year or even next year like you just alluded to, but I think out of all the teams in the division, you saw those years where maybe the Dolphins were scary or when Aaron Rodgers went to the New York Jets. I think this team has the foundation in place that could be the scariest opponent for the Bills in terms of the long term.
As much as they have good pieces in place, when you talk about the comparison, the Jets and the Dolphins might be at the bottom of the rebuild right now. The Jets certainly are in a lot of ways. The Dolphins look like they're a team heading towards the bottom, to where I think the bar is very low to clear, even if I agree that New England's in a pretty good spot in general. But when we compare all 3 teams, you know, where the Jets and Dolphins are is alarmingly low at this point in terms of being a team that could hang with this group, you know, on a regular basis. We talked a little bit about Drake May and Mike Vrabel. Of the 2, which one in this matchup Sunday is the one that you think has more of an impact, maybe can have more of an effort? Like if we walk out of this game and somehow New England wins, are we going to say Drake May had a great game or that scheme was the thing that did it?
I think it's going to be the quarterback, and I have the utmost respect for Mike Vrabel, the things he did in Tennessee and how the first month of the season has gone for the Patriots. When I look at Drake May, I don't want to be speaking the hyperbole here and get too far in front, but I think he has next in terms of that next upper echelon of this next wave of quarterbacks. When you talk about a Jaden Daniels, when you talk about your C.J. Strouds of the world, I think personally Drake May should be in the conversation with those guys. He can hit all areas of the field with his arm, and he's also dangerous with his legs as well. This Bills defense hasn't necessarily seen the best quarterback crop this season. They faced Lamar Jackson in week 1. That didn't go so well, and after that they really haven't played a murderer's row. Drake May, without knowing the schedule right now, he's probably going to be a top 5 quarterback they face all season, and I think the Bills are going to have a tough test against him Sunday night.
Typically, I would say the old adage that this is not about X's and O's, it's about Jimmy's and Joe's, because normally I do believe that. I'm not sure how much the Patriots are going to ask Drake May to do. I don't think they want him to have to go out and go toe-to-toe with Josh Allen. Although we said the stats are comparable, I don't think that's what Mike Vrabel's looking for in this one. Look, you mentioned it. They built this team up front in the trenches. They're really good against the run through 4 games. We all know the Bills can run the ball through 4 games. That's an attitude thing, and that is what Mike Vrabel has brought to this Patriots team. You had a chance to talk to a couple of the Bills' offensive linemen, and they've raved. You can say what they told you. They raved, though, about what Vrabel has done to the culture already there.
Grindfest was the word that I heard from Spencer Brown today. And the other thing they said about, you know, the run defense in particular is that, or the defense maybe in particular, is that last year's Patriots would be more of, we're trying to trick you. We're going to get to the line of scrimmage, move around late, do things weird. This team gets to the line of scrimmage and doesn't move. They're saying, this is what we got, come get us. You know, and I think the offense for the Bills has a respect level for that. And going back to the question, you know, Carl, normally I think I'd be on your side, and Drake May can very easily be the reason the Patriots steal this game. But I think it is a Vrabel X and O's game. I think when you look at what the Patriots are, if they can really take away the Bills' run game to a degree, then I want to see how the Bills' offense responds. I'm sure 17.
Because they have the corners.
Exactly. That's the other thing, too. If you want to just move it to the pass game, one of the reasons I think the front seven's been so good is because they can just let Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis get ISO'd in man coverage on the outside. But it's an interesting question that could go either way. On the Bills side, Matt Milano and Ed Oliver were both limited in practice. Both guys looked pretty good. Talked to Ed Oliver later. He seemed to indicate without indicating that he's going to be okay for Sunday. Spencer Brown, too. But let's talk about the defensive guys. On a defense that has struggled at times against the run, what kind of impact do Ed Oliver and Matt Milano make if they're in on Sunday?
Well, let me take Matt Milano, because I stood right here a couple of weeks ago when he went down, and I said, here's Dorian Williams' chance to take that starting job and not give it back to Milano because he can't stay healthy. Here's your chance. He did not do it. He did. Look, you look at the options now, and Matt Milano is clearly still the best option at that outside linebacker spot. I think they need his athleticism back, and Dorian Williams is now dinged up. He did not practice on Wednesday, dealing with a leg injury. So I think Matt Milano, he's played in a ton of big games, primetime games. I think getting him back in that lineup does help this defense.
Ed Oliver helps in terms of first and second down when you get to third down and it's third and long, so you're able to hunt. Like Sean McDermott says all the time, you earn the right to rush the passer. So if you're able to get some of those splash plays on first and second down, like we saw in that second half of that Ravens game, Ed Oliver can do those type of things and help out in the run game in that regard. Matt Milano should help this Bills defense because the linebackers in totality this year just haven't been all that great. Terrell Bernard made a fantastic play against the Dolphins, and that helped seal the win for them that day. But outside of that play, maybe one or two, he hasn't really flashed this year, hasn't really looked as explosive as he did last year. So some more reinforcements and maybe Matt Milano coming in could help out a little bit.
And how about to that point, when you're talking about splash plays from the linebackers, Shaq Thompson might have the second and third best splash plays so far from the linebacker group. That says all you need to know about how that's played out.
To that point, you brought up the idea that Dorian Williams needed to try or had an opportunity to take a job and did not. I don't know if that's necessarily true, and I'm going to spin it the other way. I think Matt Milano, if he is going to start this weekend, needs to confirm or at least legitimize or solidify that he is still the best linebacker on this team, because I think Dorian was better. I agree he didn't take the job, but I think the margins are smaller now between 58 and 42, and Dorian not being healthy for this game, I think hurts his opportunity here.
I'll say this, though. I'm so excited for this game in terms of that matchup. I know I'm a defensive back, so I like the game being all pretty on the outside. But when we talk about the Bills offensive line, James Cook against that front seven for the Patriots, I'm just going to just close my ears and just watch that. And it's going to be so great. It's going to be so fun to watch. I can't wait for that side of the watch.
That's usually my attitude with that stuff.
Right?
I love this, man. Yeah.
I'm turning a new leaf.
Who is Carl Jones, and what did you do with that?
I'm getting a little older now. All that 7-on-7 football, throw that to the curb. Football, Oklahoma drill, baby.
All right. Well, look, hey, we will talk a lot more about that next week for sure. Carl's new favorite thing, run game between the tackles. That'll definitely be the highlight next week. For Carl Jones, Josh Reed, I'm Thad Brown. Let's go back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you guys. We are going to take a quick break here. After the break, we're going to answer some questions. Thad Brown was out in Orchard Park, taking all your questions from everything you want to know ahead of this Sunday's game. We'll be back. Welcome back to BKL Nightly. It is now time for our weekly mailbag segment where we answer some questions that you guys have sent Thad Brown. He is out in Orchard Park right now post Bills practice this week ahead of this weekend's game against the Patriots. So we are going to get right into it, starting with question number 1 from ex-user Keith Davis. Are the Bills going to play with their food this week, or are they going to take this team seriously and put up as many points as possible?
Look, I understand that the last 2 games, it feels like the Bills played below potential. And we pointed out things that we felt like they didn't do very well. I don't know if it's playing with their food. I think they legitimately in both contests at times struggled on offense. And I think, especially in the Saints game, the run defense probably isn't where they want it to be. And having guys out of the lineup, Ed Oliver and Matt Milano to name 2, I think will be a part of that. I think both those guys will be back this week, and you should see the defense improve. I do think, though, that the Bills will be a little more focused for this game than they were for the last 2. I think the last 2 struggles, if that's what we want to call it, will be a part of that. I also think the Bills realize that this team, this New England team, is probably their biggest threat in the division. And talking with the guys today, it's very clear that what Mike Vrabel has done there has earned the respect of many players in this Bills locker room. So I think just knowing that the team on the other side can walk and chew gum at the same time will have the Bills in a little better shape, maybe a little more mentally prepared for this one.
Yeah, something we've been talking about is how much more can this offense do? They've been putting up 30-plus points each week, but it still feels like there's still more to be done. So from ex-user, going straight into our next question here, CO Bills fan, we think that's for Colorado, so pretty cool if we got some Bills fans out in Colorado there, but can the passing game get separation this weekend?
I don't think that that's going to be something this passing game is going to do all year long. The Bills just don't really have the personnel for it. Keon Coleman is very much not a separator. I think Dalton Kincaid as a separator has been disappointing. Now, Elijah Moore and Josh Palmer certainly have moments where they can do it, and I think Palmer would be the best guy on the team, for that job, but even they don't do it consistently enough to get regular playing time. If they were great separators, they probably wouldn't even be here because they both came to Buffalo as free agents. That's not how this passing game is going to operate. You know, the Bills are going to have to do a good job finding space in zones, scheming guys open, and really make use of Keon Coleman. I'd like to see Coleman get a couple more of those targets that are more closely contested because that's what he's supposed to be able to do, and we've seen some of that. This particular week, too, I think it'll be very hard for the Bills in the passing game, maybe harder than usual, because Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis, the Patriots' top two corners, are very, very good. Very, very good. This might be the best duo in the league and probably certainly the best duo the Bills will face all year long.
Now, I want to get right into our third question here because this is my favorite question of the week. It's from ex-user George Snyder. Atmosphere this weekend should be like Happy Valley at Penn State last Saturday. Hoping for a better outcome than Penn State. Seems we got a Penn State fan here. But what do you think this atmosphere will be like this weekend? Kind of talking a little bit about Penn State. It was a double overtime. Oregon ended up winning that game over the Nittany Lions. And it was their whiteout game, which is, we know that is the biggest game for Penn State. Obviously one of the best atmospheres in college football. But Thad, what do you think this AFC East matchup, the atmosphere will be like? Will it be comparable to Penn State?
I don't think it'll be comparable. Maybe comparable because the Bills want to do a whiteout this week too. They're wearing the cold front white jerseys. We got to see the helmets today. Helmets are pretty cool. I think they're going to look better at night. But we talked to Connor McGovern, who's a Penn State guy, and about the comparisons. He's like, look, there was 111,000 people at Happy Valley last weekend, and this stadium holds like 70,000. So just based on that, it's going to be different. The other thing too is Penn State and all those college traditions, those are things that fans of those teams have done for decades. The whiteout is something everybody looks forward to. Same thing with, all the different traditions at different colleges. In the NFL, those traditions don't exist. And doing it for the first year probably is going to mean the atmosphere is going to leave something to be desired when you compare it to Penn State. I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. I think that the new jerseys are fun. I think the idea of doing a whiteout is a good one by the Bills. Will it work out like Happy Valley? I'd be surprised, but it doesn't mean it won't be a cool time Sunday night here in Orchard Park.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best atmospheres rather in college football. And I saw also another comparison to Penn State, that Oregon interception. A lot of people compared Cole Bishop's interception last week to kind of a similar style of going up and grabbing for it. So we'll see if there's any more Penn State comparisons this weekend, with the whiteout, of course, being at Highmark Stadium against the Patriots. All right, Thad, that is going to do it for this week's.
Rachel, one thing I do want to ask, one thing I want to do to add, just real quick here, Rachel. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I do want to say one thing here. Yes. If there is a stadium in the NFL that can do the whiteout, it's this one right here, Highmark Stadium 100%. In Buffalo, New York. And that's one thing that Connor McGovern also said today, too.
100%. I agree with you there. All right, like I said, this is going to wrap up our weekly mailbag segment. Thank you, Thad. All right, as always, you can find Thad on X, on Facebook, at ThadBrown7. Every week we do this little segment. So if you want your questions answered, head over to social media. You'll find Thad. You'll find his post, and that is where you can get it done. All right, we got one more thing to get to super quickly. So Josh Allen and Drake May have a little bit of history. They share the same agency, and they both spent some time together last year. They were both engaged then. They're both married men now, so they have a lot of similarities. And Josh Allen, kind of sees himself being a mentor to this young Patriots quarterback. And so today, Josh Allen kind of spoke about that and what he sees in Drake May and just how he's done so far in his young career.
Just a really down-to-earth human being. Got a really good head on his shoulders. Does things the right way. And he plays the game the right way, in my opinion. And he's only getting better. So he's a fun one to watch.
With any quarterback, he's beginning to grow. The game looks like it's slowing down for him a little bit. He uses his legs pretty well, and you just got to contain him, keep him in the pocket.
Poise.
Yeah,
exactly. You can see it in his plays. Calm, relaxed. He knows what they're trying to do as an offense, and he's showing that.
He spins it as good as anybody in the league. His mechanics are really good, and to be that big and move the way he does, it's impressive.
Very impressed. Even last year, as a first-year player in our league, there's probably not much that he can't do. He can throw it, he can run it, he can scramble with it. They've got quarterback design runs. They certainly are off to a great start. He's off to a great start. I'm sure they feel good about him as an organization as well.
Yeah, Drake May has really impressed so far this year. I mean, we saw glimpses of that last year despite the Patriots record. And yeah, it should be a fun one. I mean, like Thad and Josh and Carl were talking about in our roundtable, a lot of similarities statistically to Josh Allen. So it'll be fun to see how his career progresses and just generally this weekend in this anticipated AFC East matchup. All right, well, that is going to do it for this Wednesday's BKL Nightly. I'm glad you stayed with me. Glad you watched and hung out for the week. We'll be back here tomorrow talking our last episode of the week, just a few, predictions for the game, just a few more things about what's going on this weekend and what you can expect from the Patriots and the Bills. But for Thad Brown, for Josh Reed, for Carl Jones, I am Rachel Liebert. Thank you so much for watching BKL Nightly.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.